What does it mean to be African? Specifically, what does the Bible say about the origin of African races? Today, we embark on a journey to examine the Black and African roots within the Bible. We will shed light on the overlooked biblical verses and dig deeper. We'll uncover the threads that link cultures and even challenge a generational curse. Watch until the end for a revelation that promises to reshape your connection with the Bible. The Bible is a sacred text, revered by millions around the world. Within its pages are a wealth of information about genealogy. There's also rich information about the descendants of various biblical figures. Today we will focus on the lineage of Ham. In Hebrew, Ham means hot or warm. In Genesis 9:24, Noah referred to him as the youngest son. Out of the sons of Noah, it is Ham who is connected to Africa. Genesis chapter 10 is where we will focus. This chapter is known as the Table of Nations. It provides a detailed account of Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Today we are interested in Ham. A study on these passages will reveal the people groups that emerge from Ham's lineage. Ham's descendants are Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Cush is associated with the kingdom of Cush. This kingdom encompassed ancient Ethiopia, which is present-day Sudan, Eritrea, and Somalia. This expansive region offers a glimpse into the diversity that defined Cushite territories. Cush's descendants didn't confine themselves to a single locale. Historical evidence say these descendants migrated to Arabia, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley. This far-reaching migration showcases the far-reaching impact of Cush and his progeny. Cush's influence is so far-reaching that there is a set of languages named after him and used in present-day Africa. The Cushitic languages are spoken across East Africa and the Horn of Africa. According to the Britannica publication, the most popular Cushite language is Oromo. It is currently spoken by 20 million people. The second is Somali and is spoken by 15 million people. These are only two of the Cushite languages spoken, and there are dozens of others. This volume of languages speaks to Cush's enduring influence on Africa. Mizraim, the second son of Ham, is identified with Egypt. In some Bible translations, the name Egypt is even used instead of Mizraim. As we dig deeper, there is a more intricate narrative beyond the familiar borders of the Nile. In Genesis 10:13, there are 7 sons listed. These sons are acknowledged as founders of various ancient Egyptian regions. Historians hint at a geographical influence extending to Libya and the Sinai Peninsula. Studies have shown connections between Mizraim's descendants and Canaanite groups. This suggests cultural and ethnic interactions with surrounding areas. Also, there are recent studies on ancient Egyptians' diverse physical appearances. This diversity was shaped by geography and interactions with neighboring populations. According to Genesis 10:6, Put is associated with the foundation of various nations. Historical interpretations link his descendants to skilled warriors and mercenaries. This enforces their historical military prowess and mobility across North Africa. The exact location of Put's people remains uncertain, but there are debates suggesting Libya, Somalia, or the Arabian Peninsula. This association supports the region's long history of diverse migrations and interactions. A 2020 study published in the Nature journal sheds more light on this. It identified various genetic lineages of Put all across the northern African region. This study shows complex population movements and intermixing throughout history. It seems that Put's descendants exhibited mobility and contributed to the region's military landscape. The Table of Nations in Genesis aligns Canaan with the land of Canaan. This encompassed modern Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and parts of Syria. Canaan is the only son of Noah with no direct ties to Africa. Yet Canaan's region did interact with diverse populations in the area. This included Egypt and Nubia, suggesting connections to ancient Africa. African historian Johannes Merriam wrote about one such connection. Canaan's grandson Aner and his wife Entella are said to have crossed from Asia into Ethiopia in 2101 BC. Merriam also wrote about 2 other Canaanite groups immigrating to Ethiopia. In conclusion, Canaan's bloodline likely intermixed with various African countries. As we go deeper into the African roots, we will address one of the more controversial narratives. This is the curse of Ham, found in Genesis chapter 9, verses 20 through 27. This passage has been historically misinterpreted, so it has led to stereotypes and misconceptions about African heritage. Let's dig deeper. The curse of Ham centers around Noah and his sons, particularly Ham. The text recounts an incident where Noah, in a state of drunkenness, fell asleep naked inside his tent. Ham was the first to discover Noah and saw the nakedness of his father. Ham went on to inform his brothers, Shem and Japheth. Unlike Ham, Shem and Japheth did not look upon their father's nakedness. Instead, they walked backwards into the tent and covered him. When Noah awoke from his state, he knew it was his youngest son, Ham. The text then goes into the curse in Genesis 9, 25-27. There are various interpretations about what Ham did or did not do to Noah. Unfortunately, some interpretations have perpetuated harmful stereotypes. Some imply that this curse can even justify slavery and discrimination. But there are biblical scholars and historians that do not agree with this. We will explore two of these viewpoints. One approach to interpreting the curse of Ham is to consider the cultural norms of the time. In ancient times, disrespecting or dishonoring a parent was a serious transgression. With this in mind, the curse was a consequence of Ham's lack of reverence for his father's nakedness. It was not a condemnation of an entire lineage. By reframing the narrative in this light, we can avoid perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Instead, we can focus on a more accurate understanding of the passage. Another perspective on the curse of Ham is that it was directed at Canaan and his descendants. In Genesis 9, verse 25, Canaan is mentioned and not Ham. Indeed, the Canaanite people were ruled and conquered by many. Some could see them as a cursed people for the generations that followed. Though there is much more to this curse, we can agree it doesn't support harmful stereotypes and discrimination against African people. Digging deeper, there are key theological concepts that contradict these negative stereotypes. These concepts provide a framework for the diversity of races. One such theological concept is the imago Dei. In Latin, this translates to the image of God. This concept refers to the belief that all human beings are created in the image of God. In Genesis 1:27, it says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female he created them." This underscores the inherent worth, value, and dignity of every individual. Regardless of race or ethnicity, we are all created in God's image. This concept challenges any interpretation of the Bible that promotes racial superiority. Imago Dei affirms that all people share a common origin. We are all cherished in the eyes of the Creator. Additionally, the Bible offers theological insights that address the unity in Christ. Galatians 3:28 proclaims, "There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male and female. For you are all one in Christ Jesus." This powerful verse dismantles societal divisions. It underscores the oneness of humanity in Christ. This inclusive language speaks to the diversity of races. Also, it emphasizes a shared identity in the spiritual realm. By embracing these concepts, we can transcend historical misinterpretations. These misinterpretations, like the curse of Ham, have led to stereotypes and discrimination. We must recognize these historical misinterpretations as products of their time. There is good news. In modern Christianity, communities promote an understanding of the Bible that embraces diversity. They acknowledge the equal worth of all individuals regardless of their racial background. They understand the Bible through the spiritual truths such as Imago Dei and the unity in Christ. Perspectives have shifted. There is now an inclusive representation of African roots within the biblical narrative.